Okay, I've said this before in some other videos, but I can't say it enough, is that when you're doing things on the fire pit, I mean, the coals are good for a time frame, and then if you don't catch it when it's right, you got to add it and wait again and all that stuff. So what I do is I got everything all cleaned up now and ready for the next step. So once that pit is ready to roll, and I've got everything ready to put the dough to the next stage, I don't have to be looking for things or finding things, because that always messes me up. So if I get it organized, it always usually works better. Okay, I've got the deep pit going. It's been going pretty much all afternoon while the dough's been rising. And the right pit I just filled up with some aspen about 15 minutes ago to get some hot coals that I'm going to sprinkle on top of the Dutch oven once this all gets knocked down a little bit. So I'd say about a half hour from now I'm ready to put the Dutch oven on, because the dough's been inside warmed up, and it rose up pretty nice. So it's about ready. We got a few little preparation things to do to it before we put it on the fire, but I'll show you that in the next little segment. Well, me and the little yellow furry companion are just sitting here by the fire getting warm now. What's really interesting here is, let me see if I can get back a little bit. This fire pit is, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of years it's been used, but when I cleaned things out around here, because a lot of sediment kind of filled in from above, we found some few implements and arrowheads just to sort of really let me know that this place has been used for a while. But there's several of these around the rim of this box canyon. But we're just sitting here getting warm, like maybe folks did 100, 200, 300, who knows how many hundreds of years ago. It's pretty neat. Dakota, he's just enjoying himself by the fire. Okay, the bread dough mix is it's about doubled in size here. Now, we had it inside warm for about 3 hours covered up. Now, if you live at sea level, you might now only have to go 2 hours, but things just seem to take a little bit longer up here. Okay, so what I've done is I got a little flour on my board, but I also have my parchment doubled up. And what I'm going to do after about 20 minutes is I'm going to put a little water in there to get a little steam, because the steam is what makes that crust get a little bit hard. And then at about that point I'll score it, and maybe we'll paint a little bit of butter on it too. Okay, I've got the dough in the Dutch oven now, and I've kind of worked it out so it's just pushing into the parchment paper. And what I'm going to do is let it go on the fire with the lid on it for about 15 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is put a piece of foil on top of this, take the lid off it, and then put the lid back on it. And then I'm going to put some coals on top of it. And then I'll let that go for about a couple minutes. Then I'm going to take the lid and the foil off, and then I'm going to score it with the knife, and then put a little butter on top of it, then put the lid back on it with some coals on it. So the whole process is going to go probably 40 minutes. Like I said, if you live at sea level, it doesn't take that long. But up here, everything just seems to take a little bit longer. Well, I've got the Dutch oven on top of the 12-inch trivet in the deep pit right now, and just put it on there. And over here, these coals, I'm going to knock them down. They're going to be ready to go on in about 15 minutes, and I'll put some over on the top. Like I said, I'll put some foil underneath the lid, though, to make sure no ashes get into the fire. Okay, I knocked down the other pit where I had the aspen in there, and another 10-15 minutes, those coals be ready to shovel out. If you look underneath here, there's no fire. It's just some coals glowing. And, well, I know in a regular oven you want it about 400 degrees. Well, and there's a little bit of an art form going on here. As you can see, I've got the one pit. It's a little bit ahead of this one here. So this is something you got to play around with when you do it. But just as long as things don't get burnt, it usually all gets cooked and everybody's happy. Okay, the coals in this pit are nice and white, so they're ready. And I cut some foil. It actually took 2 pieces to cover this 12-inch. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay some coals on the top of here. Okay, I've got some coals on top of the lid of the Dutch oven, and I scraped out around where the hook is. So when it comes time to pick it up and check things, just do it very carefully, and the aluminum foil will keep anything from falling inside the Dutch oven. But the idea is just everything very carefully. So there's heat below, the rocks above. It's going, and I can smell the bread smell already coming out a little bit. And I've got some more wood over here if I need it to turn into. Cut it out! He hates hearing me talk. Might need some more coals over here, but we'll wait and see. When I take this thing off in about 15 minutes, we'll see how far along it goes, because I want to put a little bit of butter on top of it. Okay, this is my 20-minute check, so what I'm going to do is go get some butter, and I'm going to squirt and put the lid back on it again. Okay, I think we've got a little success going on here, so I'm going to put the foil back on and put the lid back on for another 5 minutes. I put some fresh coals on there that I had going over on the other side, and we're going to let it go 5-8 minutes. I think when I check the bread, it's pretty much done. I just want that butter to soak in a little bit, maybe brown it up a little bit more. Okay, there's just a teeny little bit of breeze picking up here, and boy, you can see it just makes those embers just kind of glow a little bit. But I don't want to get carried away here. I'm going to let it go for, like I said, about 8 minutes, and I'm about 4 or 5 minutes into it right now. So this is where it comes, this is where it's the art form. There's no regulation like there is with an oven or something in a regular old kitchen, but that's half the fun to me. Okay, so what I do now is I just scrape as many of the coals off as I can, just to avoid having anything drop in. Even though that foil is pretty much going to protect it, it doesn't take a whole lot to mess things up at this point. Okay, so now I'm going to get in here and carefully pick that off. Put that over on one of the trivets over here I got on the side. And then, oops. Oh, yeah. Ha ha! Well, hallelujah. It worked out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that and put it over on my little bench and let it cool off for a while. But here's the magic. That parchment didn't catch fire, but I'll tell you what, if you look close, it got really close a couple times, which means we're up in the 400s. What do you think, pup dog? I think he wants to go for a walk. Well, okay, folks. There you go, on a campfire, no less. As usual, I just want to say thank you to everybody that watched it, and hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, subscribing and sharing with some friends. But have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and a nice evening. Good night.